Welcome to Healthy Meals on a Budget. I am Kayla Dudek. I am a dietetic intern with the University of Kentucky and with Laura Sheffield. Today we are going to make a black bean and quinoa enchilada bake. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we are going to chop our pepper and chop most of our ingredients. I've already pre-chopped everything, so I've chopped the onion, I've chopped one pepper, corn you don't have to chop, and then and cilantro we bought pre-chopped, and garlic pre-chopped. So when you're slicing a pepper, the first thing that you want to do is you want to slice through the top of it, and then slice through the back of it, and then you're going to slice through the ribs of it. And peppers are really good because they're really high in vitamin A and vitamin C, which is really good for your eyesight and immunity. And then we're also going to make sure that we throw away the little stem. A lot of people will sometimes just throw away this whole piece, and that is wasteful because you can actually use that. And then we're just going to do slices for part of it, and we're going to completely dice the entire pepper. We're going to dice that up smaller because we don't want giant chunks. If you're into that thing, you can have giant chunks. I'm not. And also just making sure that when we're cutting our vegetables, we're only cutting as many as we can. Trying to keep our fingers out of the way. For this recipe, it calls for 2 peppers. I believe the original recipe calls for a red pepper and a yellow pepper, but you can use any color combination of peppers. So how I have a red one and an orange one. You could also use a red and a green one. The good thing about this recipe is that it's super versatile in terms of ingredients, so it's really just dependent on what you have on hand. It's super easy. And it's super colorful because we have our oranges, we have our yellows, we have our reds, our whites. It also has our grains from the quinoa. So now that I have that bell pepper cut, I'm going to come over to my skillet and I'm going to turn it on to medium heat, however the heck. And I've already sprayed this pan. You can either spray it or you can use olive oil. Olive oil is really good because it's super high in omega-3 fatty acids, which are really good for our heart health and overall health. And I'm going to take our onion and I'm going to put it in our skillet. Trying to get all the onion out of here. And I have about 1 onion here. If you have a giant onion like this, you can use half, or you can use the whole thing if you want. And I'm just gonna saute this onion until it's translucent, which will be about 3 minutes. In the meantime, if you're waiting for your pan to warm up and you haven't cooked your quinoa yet, you can cook your quinoa, or you can do that first. It's really easy. You just put the dried quinoa into a pot and you fill it with about an inch over of water, inch more of water than's in the quinoa in the pot, and then you bring it to a boil and you let it just simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. So once the onions are translucent, we're going to add in garlic. You can either use fresh garlic or minced garlic. I just have minced garlic here. And so for minced garlic, to be able to get 1 garlic clove, which is what this recipe calls for, it is 1 teaspoon. So I'm just going to take my teaspoon, my garlic, I'm going to add it in there. And I'm just going to cook that for a minute because I don't want my garlic to burn. And you just want it to be fragrant. And garlic is really good also for our immunity. So now that's starting to feel fragrant. So I'm going to add in our bell peppers and our corn. And this is going to get cooked for a few minutes. Get that all nice and mixed together so that the flavor from the onions and the garlic are getting into the bell peppers and the corn. And this only needs to cook all together for 3 to 4 minutes. So once our onions and peppers and garlic and corn are cooked, we are going to turn off the skillet. And then we are going to add our spices. So I've already pre-measured our spices. So we have ground cumin, salt, and pepper. Oh, that's salt and pepper. I'm just going to add that into here. And I'm going to stir that. Just to make sure it's all nice and evenly dispersed. And then the next thing that we're going to add is 1/3 cup of cilantro. So I just have a little bit of cilantro left in this one, so I'm going to empty that one. And then I have another one here. I'm going to put that in there. You can use either like this already fresh cut cilantro, or you can use fresh cilantro that just comes in the bags. It's just really your preference. Cilantro tastes really good in Mexican-like dishes. Tastes good in anything. It's a nice little herb and it gives you some green. Once all that is mixed, we're going to take that and we're going to put it into a larger bowl. So we're just going to scoop this all into this giant bowl. Oh, it smells good. Once that's in a bowl, we're going to combine it with our quinoa and our black beans. I suggest rinsing your black beans prior. So these are already rinsed. I'm just going to put those in there. And then we're also going to put 1/2 cup of enchilada sauce, which I think I don't have to go. And then we're going to take a spoon and we're just going to mix that all together. And at this point, you would put in 1/2 cup of cheese, but I don't have 1/2 cup of cheese, so. Or any like dairy cheese alternative you could put in here. Quinoa is really good because it's high in magnesium and folate and iron. And it helps get that like at least half of your daily grains from a whole grain. And once that's all mixed together, we are going to put it into a casserole dish. So now we're going to scoop it into this casserole dish. We want to make sure when it's in the casserole dish that we're evenly placing it throughout the dish so that it bakes completely. So I'm just going to spread it out into every corner. And then we would put more like Fiesta blend cheese on top just to cover it and to make it really nice, and then put it in the oven that should be preheated at 350 degrees. And after it's evenly dispersed in the pan, we're gonna put cheese on top of it and just evenly like disperse it all over the top, not hide the cheese. It'll look all nice and lovely. And then we're going to put it in the oven. Once it's done in the oven, it should have baked for 20 minutes with like tinfoil on top and then 10 minutes without. And you'll have a lovely black bean and quinoa enchilada bake. And if I get we're just going to square this out. And you could plate this with like more cilantro on top, or like green onions, or even like some sour cream. It's all nice and nice.